Hello, and welcome to Ice is Slippery, an unserious podcast about hockey brought to you by 1.5 hockey fans. My name is Kate, and I'm the hockey fan.
And my name is Fred. I am half a hockey fan.
Good morning, Fred. How are you today?
Morning. All hyped up on coffee. It's a different vibe than the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think that will be exciting for the podcast audience.
Maybe.
And maybe very annoying for me. So...
Welcome to your life.
It's kind of true. We get two modes of Fred, tired or hyped up on caffeine. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
So, well, you put up with me, I put up with you, and that's marriage, right?
I guess it is.
I guess so. You know, that's kind of how we ended up with a hockey podcast, is I Stockholm syndromed you into watching hockey, and now we have a hockey podcast.
We do.
Because that's marriage. It's all about compromise. And by compromise, I mean you get into my hobbies.
Yeah.
And I don't get into yours.
I compromise.
I mean, to be fair, you don't want me to help you build flutes, because I would cut my hand off.
It's true. No, you don't need to be near any kind of woodworking equipment.
Nope. There'd be blood everywhere.
Yep.
It would just be a scene.
And you're not much of a classical guitar player.
I'm not anything of a classical guitar player, and let's just keep it that way. Nobody needs that.
Let's talk hockey.
Let's talk hockey, though. All right. Well, we'll start with news from around the NHL. Last night, Alex Ovechkin had an empty net goal.
Oh, okay. Cool. I didn't know that.
I didn't think you did.
No,
so that's why I told you.
Awesome.
That's really part of what this podcast is. It's just an excuse for me to tell you about hockey stuff.
Right. All right. So he's close.
He's close. He's now only 22 goals away from beating Gretzky's record.
Wow.
He also now has 20 consecutive seasons where he's scored 20 or more goals. The only other hockey player who's ever done that is Gordie Howe.
Wow.
Who did that 22 seasons.
Right.
So that's pretty fantastic.
Wow. All right. Cool.
Crazy. That kind of longevity is nuts.
Yeah, he seems like maybe an important figure in the world of hockey.
You know, I'm starting to think maybe that there's a reason people talk about him, I guess.
I'm very late to the Ovechkin party.
It's true, you are. And you're still a little confused about
it. I don't think I'm going to go into the party, but like I'm glad it's going on.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
To be fair, you're not going to any parties. You're kind of an introvert.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested.
That's totally valid. We're old.
Yep.
We found out today officially that there are going to be outdoor games in Florida next year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. So the Winter Classic will be held at Lone Depot Park in Miami on January 2nd. And the Florida Panthers will be hosting the Rangers. And then there will also be, I think we decided it's a Stadium Series game.
Yes, after much discussion.
After much discussion. And that one will be at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. And the Lightning will be hosting the Bruins. And this will be the first time that any outdoor NHL games will be played in Florida, unsurprisingly, being that Florida is hot. I know that because we used to live there. So
we spent a number of years there.
A number of miserable years
there. And yes, 15 miserable.
Something like that. Our daughter is still like, why did you give birth to me in Florida? I don't want to be a Florida person.
Yeah.
She just tells people she was born in Pennsylvania. So
right. Well, I have no context for outdoor games, but I can imagine or I understand why Florida never came up in the discussion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm sure that they have strategized. I don't think that they are just like, well, whatever, we'll wing it and figure it out. Like, I'm sure they have plans in place, but even the best laid plans can go awry.
It'll be interesting. I mean, depending on the time of the year and the weather patterns and what time they play the game.
It could turn into a water polo game.
It honestly could, the afternoon rainstorms, it could just be a real problem there.
I think the Lone Depot Park might have a roof that closes.
Oh, gotcha.
So I think they can do that, but then it's not really an outdoor game. So
it's not, no.
I mean, they can do that, I think, for days ahead to prepare and really blast the AC. And
whatever it is they do.
Whatever they do. But I don't know. It has the potential to be a shit show. And I'm there for it. I just, if we're going to do outdoor games, why not just make it as chaotic as possible?
Absolutely.
Next time, just have it on Mercury.
On a barge.
Yeah, on a barge, sure.
Just start Red Bull just takes over Winter Classic. And they're like, it's between two hot air balloons.
Just have it directly on the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So
why not? Just live a little.
I don't know.
Be a little wacky. Well, the NHL is pretty wacky. They released some online content this week that was actually pretty entertaining.
Yep.
So the official NHL account posted a video to Our Hockey, and they've posted it elsewhere, where they had hockey players react to a post from the Unpopular Opinion subreddit. The original post read, "My husband believes running pizza underwater to cool it down is acceptable." And it included a video of him holding pizza under a faucet before eating it, which was a truly horrifying sight. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm actually a little nauseated just thinking about it.
I mean, I don't know.
You don't want to kink shame? You don't want to yuck anyone's yum?
Well, I mean, you take a bite of pizza, it's too hot, and you dump water in your mouth or soda. It's the same thing. People
talked about this in the comments. The thing is if you take a bite of the pizza, you still get the good bite of pizza before you douse it with the liquid. You don't want to just eat the mushy liquid pizza.
I see.
That's disgusting.
I see. There's been a discourse on my ideas.
There has been. Yeah. Sorry. There's nothing new in the world anymore.
There isn't.
So they had NHL players react to this and presumably watch the video. And it was actually really funny because a lot of times when they do these Q&A things, they ask these really sort of banal questions and the NHL players answer these really, really bland answers, and it's not riveting content.
No.
But the NHL players they interviewed were so disgusted.
They were not having it.
They were not having it. Leon Draisaitl, I don't think I've ever seen him so flabbergasted. He was just like, what? No. He was like, I refuse to talk about this. This is not okay. Macklin Celebrini said that it was criminal, and he actually did say the words not okay. So
gotcha.
We are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And I guess the NHL has done a series of these with various posts from the Unpopular Opinion subreddit.
Oh, okay.
Releasing them throughout the season. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it could be really funny.
That could be.
But yeah, they were so grossed out, and it's really entertaining to watch hockey players who I'm sure deal with super gross stuff all of the time. Like, I've heard about the stench of the hockey equipment.
Oh, yeah.
So when they're grossed out by something, it's pretty gross.
Mm-hmm.
I also found a video of Leon Draisaitl doing one of those ranking things. So, you have a list of like 1 to 8 or 1 to 10 or whatever, and then they give you sort of themed items.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to rank them, and you don't know what's coming next.
One of those like TikTok, Instagram reel things.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So his was different meats.
Yep.
Which, bring on the meat. I love meat. I'm from Texas originally, so meat's good.
We got the meats.
We did have the meats. We ate them. My big takeaway from that was that man loves fried chicken.
Yeah, he does.
I have never seen his face light up like that.
He's like, oh, fried chicken. That's a word I like.
Yeah, he was like, fried chicken. That's number one. He was delighted. Mm-hmm. I don't think he and I probably have much in common, but I also love fried chicken. So
True.
I feel like if I ever get the chance to hang out with him, we're going to go out and get fried chicken, and it's going to be pretty cool.
All right. That does sound good. Hopefully you go somewhere where there's good fried chicken.
Yeah, hopefully it's not in Colorado. There is no good fried chicken in Colorado. I've looked. It's not here.
No, you can't do it at altitude, I don't think.
Apparently that is
just not
restriction.
It's just not the same.
I need to start doing some traveling just so I can go get some fried chicken.
Got to get down to sea level.
I guess so. Something like that. And then probably my favorite video of the week was when Brad Marchand's mom did a video impersonating her son, because the Bruins had a mom's game.
Yep.
So she had a little tantrum on the bench and banged her stick around. She plotted how to piss off Paul Bissonnette, a.k.a. Cheesecake Factory. She admired herself in the mirror and talked about how good looking she was. And she talked about how the Bruins have the best looking team in the NHL, and it's a bunch of studs.
Yeah, she nailed it. She obviously has been around that guy once or twice.
Yes, she definitely knows exactly who he is, and she completely nailed the impression, and everybody on the internet adored her.
Yeah.
So, and he was asked about it, and he was like, yeah, she did a good job. He was, I think, a little, maybe slightly embarrassed insofar as he can experience that kind of an emotion. Mm-hmm. He did have some big emotions this week.
Oh, this was the week of big emotions?
This was the week of big emotions and big drama in the locker room.
Was it big drama, though?
Well, so there has been big drama in the locker room stories kind of ongoing that we haven't really talked about.
Oh,
so
Pettersson and...
Yeah, Pettersson and Miller. So in Vancouver, and that's not new. That's been kind of rumors for a couple of years now about JT Miller and Elias Pettersson not getting along. Mm-hmm. And those have been popping up again this season, especially when Miller took that sort of extended leave of absence and nothing was really given besides personal reasons. And then Vancouver hasn't really sort of denied it. They've been like, oh, everybody has issues sometimes and people can put stuff aside. But no, they get along fine and everything's whatever. And it's just not like a very convincing denial.
Yeah, they don't seem to have like a clear message. So it makes it seem like maybe there is something going on.
Right. There seems to be smoke to the rumors.
Right.
They're not extinguishing anything.
Right.
So in Boston, it seemed like maybe something similar was going on. On Friday, Rich Keefe, who's a sports radio guy in Boston, said on air that there's a huge rift between David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand in the Bruins locker room. Allegedly, Marchand has called Pasta out for his poor play. And in return, Pasta has told the team that he doesn't want to play on a line with Brad Marchand. Mm-hmm. The Bruins organization has handled this very differently than Vancouver. Their social media accounts pointedly posted pictures of Marchand and Pasta smiling and joking at practice that day. And both players gave interviews categorically denying the report. Pasta thought Marchand was joking when he told him about it, and he was still laughing to the press in disbelief about it. Marchand was more heated, and he said that it was ridiculous that Keefe would still have a job tomorrow and that he has destroyed his credibility as a reporter. Mm-hmm. Later that night, Marchand posted a bunch of pictures of them together on Instagram, embracing on the ice. By them, I mean Marchand and Pasta.
Yeah, not
him and Keefe. That'd be weird. But they were embracing on the ice. They were wearing old-timey baseball uniforms. They were wearing sort of loud patterned suits. And there was one of Marchand giving Pasta a piggyback ride, and the caption said, "Wolves don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep." And then Keefe went ahead and doubled down and said, "Now I got Marchand calling for my job. No one acts this way if the story is really false. Thanks for the confirmation." So I find this to be very funny drama.
Okay.
I find the sports reporters to be baffling. I mean, people say he has good scoops and that his reporting has always been accurate before. I fully believe Marchand and Pasta when they say that this is bullshit.
Yeah, we saw both of them responding, and those were people that were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they both seem genuinely baffled.
Right.
And Marchand, I mean, yeah, he was defensive, but Marchand has a history of like flipping out on the internet over really stupid stuff. Like it's kind of his thing. And of course he's going to react poorly to something that is completely fabricated. He pretty much implied that this guy must have completely made it up. I think maybe that this guy heard it from a source that he trusts, and the source was just way off for whatever reason. And I don't know, everyone's just doubling down and sticking to their stories. And I don't know, it's just really entertaining. It just feels very Boston to me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of dumb. If I'm being honest, I don't care about any of this. I think the reporter being like that is kind of funny. I think Marchand calling him out for it is kind of funny. But like, I don't know. It just seems so trivial. Like, okay, great. Let's play hockey.
I think as long as it has died down after this, then it's fine.
Yeah.
I just as long as it doesn't drag on infinitely, like the Vancouver stuff has, then I think that that's okay.
Yeah.
It just seems like this was a lot of drama for about a 24-hour time period. And then I haven't really heard anything about it since then. So, I mean, granted, this was all Friday, but I mean, Saturday, that was it. Not a peep on Saturday. So.
Right. Well, I'll be happy to not hear about this ever again.
Yeah, I just, I guess news got a news sometimes, but it was just completely bizarre, out of left field. And I don't know, just that whole, if he's saying so firmly that it's not true, then it must be true, is just the dumbest.
Oh, that was the reporter.
That was the reporter saying that.
Yeah, that's
the dumbest take. It's like, so he said no, so therefore, yes.
Right.
But he said no, like heated, so extra yes. But like, it's Brad Marchand. Like, the man licks people's faces. He doesn't have appropriate emotional responses. Like, of course he's going to be offended. Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah. I'm good.
You're good. You're like, whatever. I don't want to talk about this anymore. That's fine. I just thought it was funny. I don't know. I like grown men acting like teenage girls. I think it's entertaining to me personally, as a woman who has been told many times over my life that I am being dramatic and that men are like, have good control over their emotions. I like it when I can see evidence that is not in fact true, and that men are very emotional.
Men. Hysterical.
Men who are not bad or men who are fun in a fun way are, there's one of them on the Sharks. Yaroslav Askarov, who's the goalie.
Yes, he is fun.
He's very fun.
I like him.
Yeah. You saw that clip I was telling you about where he was hyping up the crowd last week.
Yeah, I feel like you texted me and you're like, check this out or something like that.
And then I don't think that you did. And then we did see it on the TV.
That checks out.
Yes. So I saw a really great interview with him yesterday. It was 10 minutes long, so I did not send it to you because I know that you do not have that kind of time.
I would not have watched that.
No, I know you didn't. So he's super charismatic. He's Russian. English is a second language. He speaks it very well, but you can definitely tell he has to pause to sort of make sure he's going to say the right words.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just so funny. Like, he's way funnier than a lot of people in hockey who have English as their first language.
Right.
My favorite part was, the interviewer sort of opened by saying, most kids who play hockey want to score goals, but you're on the other side. Why would you ever want to grow up to be a goaltender? And so he sort of thinks about it and responds, I was really normal, but and then he starts laughing like, oh, I used to be normal, but then they put me in a goalie suit and then I became abnormal.
Right.
Which was really funny. Like, I started out that way, but then, goalies, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But basically, when he was 6 or 7, the coaches were like, hey, we have some goalie equipment. Do you want to try out being a goalie? And he was like, okay. And he noticed that because, they were all 7 years old, that the kids couldn't elevate the puck. So as long as he got down, he could stop the puck.
Mm-hmm.
So he was really good at it. So he's like, this is awesome. I'm fucking great at being a goalie. I'm just going to do this now, because he just really liked being good at it.
Yeah.
Eventually, the kids did learn how to elevate the puck, and it got harder. But he said basically at that point it was too late. He was already committed to being a goalie. So he just had to stick with it.
It got hard and he's like, wait a second. No, not that.
No, this isn't what I planned for. But yeah, he was just basically like, this is easy. This is so easy. I just have to get down low and I'm good to go. Like, why wouldn't anybody want to do this?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was obviously joking about it, but I don't know. It's just a great interview. He's really so charming and charismatic. And you can just tell he's having the time of his life in San Jose. The interviewer was asking him sort of about how he's always in such a positive mindset and he seems to be having a good time. And he said he always sort of tries to be in a positive mindset, but that it's been so much easier since he came to San Jose.
Nice.
Yeah. Because the interviewer was like, do you try or does it come natural? And he's like, well, both. I try, but also here it's very natural.
That's cool.
I know. It's great. I think the vibes are so good there.
They must be.
So good for him.
Yeah.
And in other goalie news, Wedge Watch has been pretty quiet lately.
Oh, Wedge Watch is on hiatus, isn't it?
Well, I did do a little digging yesterday. And though things have been quiet on the Wedgwood front, I did find a tweet from an Avs beat reporter on January 7th with photos that showed Wedgwood on the ice in skates.
Hey.
So it made me hopeful he may be well enough to suit up, even if it's just in backup gear, by Saturday when I see the Stars play the Avs in Denver. So, yeah, that's coming up next weekend.
Let's hope.
I know. Fingers crossed.
That was part of the reason we got those tickets.
It would be really great. And hopefully I know in enough time that if he is going to be there, I can make a sign.
Yeah. But Marchman's not going to be there, though.
I'm pretty sure Marchman will not be there. He had facial surgery because...
Yeah, reconstructive facial.
They didn't say reconstructive. Oh my God, what if he comes back with a different face?
Yeah.
That'd be terrible. I like his face.
Yeah. Comes back looking like Nicolas Cage or something.
Why would you say such a thing? Brutal. He'll still have his beautiful cerulean orbs, though, so we'll be fine.
True.
Well, I guess let's, with that, just move on to the Stars.
All right. There's no other news? That's it? No, it was pretty quiet.
Yeah. I mean, there was some other stuff.
Yeah. Bunch of boring teams doing boring stuff.
No, it's really just our teams have a lot to talk about this
week. It's true. It's true.
So the Stars are actually kind of on a roll right now.
I know. I'm interested to hear where you're at with the Stars because it's been a little up and down the last 3 weeks.
It has been. We have won 7 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
We have points in our last 9 games.
Yeah.
Things aren't perfect, but considering we're missing Marchment and Sagan, I'm pretty happy overall.
All right.
So Tuesday we played the Rangers. That was definitely our rockiest game. That looked like it was going to be a real shit show from the beginning because we were down 3-0 about halfway through the first period.
That was the one where you were like, I'm just going to watch the Flyers, right?
That was the one where basically I was like, I don't know, after this period, we might just switch over to the Flyers. This is not great. Because I've threatened to do that. I have said if they're playing at the same time and if the Stars are not fun to watch, there's nothing stopping me from watching the Flyers. But luckily...
You hung in there. Yeah,
I did.
You hung in.
I did. So whenever there's a team that's struggling, all they really need to do is play Dallas because we will help them break whatever scoring slump they might be dealing with because we are just generous and charitable that way. Alexis Lafreniere, who is the youngest looking old man I've ever seen, or the oldest looking young man I've ever seen, sorry, broke a 13-game drought and scored 2 goals. The game started out super rough. Like I said, the Rangers scored 3 goals in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And we did not score any goals.
No.
In the first 12 minutes. So that was pretty bad. But with 7 minutes left in the first, the Stars finally got on the board with a goal from Matt Duchene. And then Dodonov scored a power play goal in this economy, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, the power play struggles are real and ongoing.
It's true.
So I'm always happy for one of those. So we ended up making it out of the first period only down 1 goal. So 3-2 after the first period.
Yep.
And then Jason Robertson tied up the game in the second period. And in the third period, the Rangers scored again, but then Thomas Harley tied it up again, and we went to OT. And then Jamie Benn saved the day with a game-winning goal. So we won 5-4.
Yeah.
So even though it started out really bad, once we started scoring, it looked fine. So
it worked out okay. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest game. And it was one of those where at any point in time, you're like, oh, this could go south. Or at least for me, that was my vibe.
Yeah, I was happy with our resilience because we do have a tendency to, once things go wrong, just completely fall apart.
Right.
And we did actually pull our shit together, and the people that we needed to deliver, like Robo, pulled up and delivered. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
And we kept our win streak going, and that's what matters.
It does.
Thursday was a really big game, though, because the Stars were playing the Flyers. So for once, we didn't have to choose between our 2 hockey children.
No, but we had to mentally adapt while watching.
It was a little tricky. I mean, obviously, I'm always going to root for the Stars first and foremost, and you're always going to root for the Flyers first and foremost.
Probably.
But it was just nice to be able to watch both of them. In some ways, I felt like I understood the team, the game better, just because I'm so much more familiar with how Philly plays. That I understood, what they were doing as opposed to what Dallas is doing. Sometimes Dallas looks bad to me against other teams, but then I'll find out later, oh, well, that team's really good at killing Dallas's type of offense or something.
Right.
I'm not that good at hockey yet. I'm just goals are pretty.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it was, it was fun to get to watch both of them and not have to choose. The Stars looked really fast off the rush, and the Flyers couldn't seem to catch up.
Yeah, they couldn't. They're too fast.
They were too fast, which is a nice change.
Yeah, transition game. That's what Torts is saying, that they were just getting hung out on that. Dallas was just transitioning so fast and holding people back by the blue line and just springing them every time. And they got, I don't know. I thought Philly didn't look that bad, but apparently they looked terrible.
I didn't think they looked that bad either, but Torts did not agree with us.
Everybody, including the players, were like, no, that was a bad game. And I don't know. It just felt to me like they weren't finishing and capitalizing on opportunities, but I guess it was just a disaster all around.
I thought they were doing their best.
I thought so, too.
Against a very good Dallas team, which Torts said that it's a very good Dallas team because he kind of walked his things back. He was like, I mean, I said last night that we looked really bad, and we did, but also we have to point out that Dallas is a really good team.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I've been hard on Dallas, and I've been thinking Dallas hasn't been playing that well. I feel like maybe other teams have cracked Dallas a little bit, and they know what we do, and they figured out ways to neutralize us, and maybe Philly just hasn't. So we looked great because we were doing what we do great, and we didn't have anybody, messing with that. Mm-hmm. But that's still an issue. If the other teams have cracked us, we need to figure out ways to adapt to that.
Yeah. It sounds like a little bit of coping there.
Listen, you can think how you want to think, but whatever. Matt Dumba actually had a pretty good game, including an assist on the first goal, which went to Maverick Bork.
Yeah.
Wyatt Johnston had a goal, and so did Rope Hintz. And then there was an empty netter from Miro Heiskanen that was fully basically from our goal to the other end of the ice.
Yeah, it was like a skills competition thing.
It was crazy. It was really nice. Morgan Frost did score for the Flyers, so our backup goalie did not get a shutout. So whatever, I don't care.
He played well, though, I believe.
He did. Yeah, there were definitely, I think, some some chances that the Flyers had, but like you said, they couldn't really finish, and he was playing well.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. I did really enjoy, we had a post-game interview from Maverick Bourque, who is one of our rookies, and I feel like we got to know him a little bit better. Mm-hmm. He is from a town in Quebec about 2 hours outside of Montreal, and when they were talking to him post-game, they were pointing out that he was going to be playing in Montreal for the next upcoming game. And he was very cute. He was talking about how all of the players have been saying he was going to score before he played that game, and he scored tonight. So he was happy everybody else was right, and how he was really looking forward to going. And it was very sweet. So,
yeah.
Again, nice to have a rookie who looks comfortable in front of the camera. And he did do a lot of but he has a French Canadian accent, so it's cuter when he does that.
Yeah, he seems like a fun guy, and I'm excited for him in general. I don't know why.
Yeah, he's one where I think people had super high expectations of him coming out of the gate because Wyatt Johnston and Logan Stankoven last year both just came out of the gate flying. Mm-hmm. And so everyone expected him to as well. The problem is our top six is really jammed full right now. So he hasn't really had a spot there. So he's starting out in the bottom six,
right,
which isn't really, I think, his game as much. But he's adapting and he's making it work. He's been doing really well in the third line. So I think eventually he'll be a top six person once some of our older players phase out. But I think he's one to watch. I think he's good. And I think he's getting better every time. I think he adapts. He's just a little guy.
He's a little guy.
Dallas Stars, just little guys.
Little guys.
But, he gets hit and he pops right back up. He's not like Stankoven where he'll really, I think, go hard against people. But if he does get hit, he just is not bothered.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. No, he's fun to watch. He's noticeable out there.
He is. And he's just been getting more and more confident. And I think that helps.
Yeah.
So Saturday, we went to Montreal and played the Canadiens. And the Habs have had a rough start to the season, but they've been on a huge winning streak lately. In fact, starting on December 28th, their win streak has included beating the last 4 Stanley Cup winning teams, the Panthers, the Avalanche, the Lightning, and Vegas.
Yeah.
So they're not just winning, they're winning against good teams.
Yep.
Solid teams. It was a lower scoring game, but it was still really exciting. We were dominant in the first period. I thought we looked great in the first period.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No, not necessarily.
Necessarily? Okay. I think the Habs were they were playing a very physical game. They were laying lots of hits.
They were. Right. At some point, the hit count was like 23-3 or something.
That was in the second period. In the first period, they were definitely putting some hits down, but the disparity wasn't that evident yet. But we had control of the puck a lot of the time. We were getting a lot of good chances. I thought our energy was good. Our speed was good. Our game was good. I even said, if we can keep this up going to the second, I feel really good about our chances.
Why would you say that out loud?
I didn't say it out loud. I said it typed online and on the Reddit page.
There you go.
So I guess I still jinxed it. Second period came out and it was like we decided to play the entire period in our own zone for some reason. We just were on the back foot the entire time.
Yep.
Even still, we were doing well. Jake was having a great night in goal, just making some really, really fantastic saves. Our defense looked pretty solid. It was really just we couldn't get it out of the zone and keep it out of the zone.
Yeah.
And that was an issue.
Yeah.
But they still couldn't get it in the net until we had Dumba take a penalty. And then 30 seconds later, Colin Blackwell took a penalty. And then there was a 5-on-3 against us.
Yeah.
And the Habs were able to score. And it was Patrick Laine on a power play goal, because of course it was, because that's what they do.
Yeah, he went to his office.
And he did his shot that he does from his office, and that was that. Yeah.
I think I said this last night, but it looks like stock footage now when he scores those goals, because everyone comes over, the lighting's the same, it's at the same corner.
It's like the same people, because it's all the same power play line.
I don't even know if it's real anymore. I feel like they're just like, oh, they're on the power play, well, roll that line A footage.
I know, it really does look like that. It's just it's kind of predictable. I think he has like 9 goals this season and 8 are on the power play or something like that. It's insane.
Yep.
But I mean, and the thing is too, is he has been out sick since New Year's Eve, I think, or New Year's Day. And until really game time last night, he was a game time decision. We didn't find out until about 30 minutes before the game that, yes, he would be playing. I do think Jake was so on last night that if we had not had a 5-on-3 with Laine on the ice, we might have been able to keep them off the board. But alas, Line showed up and did Line things. And that's what it is. And we gave him the opportunity. Luckily.
Yeah. Don't let him stand over there.
Don't let him stand over there, and don't do it on a 5-on-3, for God's sake.
Definitely not.
Oh my God. It's like, okay, a 5-on-4 is bad enough, but a 5-on-3 with Line in the lineup, why would you do that? It's not good. Nope. I did feel bad for Colin Blackwell because it was...
Oh, that was just a trip that just kind of happened because of circumstances. It was
not an intentional trip. It was just a very, sort of happenstance, soft, not like an intentional one at all.
Yep.
And if it had just been that, it would have been fine. But since we were already on the PK, it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, Jamie Benn tied it up 2 minutes later on an even strength goal. And the assist was from hometown boy Maverick Bork, which was really, really nice.
That is nice.
So I think that Razor said that Josh and Razor said that he had asked for 50 tickets for people.
He had asked for 50. Yeah, he had. I don't know if he got 50, but that was his ask.
Yeah, because he has, obviously lots of friends and family members there, including some of his old junior hockey teammates who wanted to be there and support him. Mm-hmm. Lots of Bork jerseys in the crowd. Even people who are usually Habs fans were there wearing Bork jerseys to support him.
That did seem like Habs fans just wearing Dallas things because of him.
Yeah, very much. And it was really nice. There were a lot of Stars fans, though. Some of them were in the subreddit last night and said they were seeing a lot of other Stars fans there, too. So I thought that was really great for him that he got that kind of support. And he got some cheers when he went out on the ice for warm-ups.
Yep.
He warmed up without his helmet on, so I think so people could see him out on the ice.
It's like, look at me.
See a little face, see a little hair flowing around. So that was really nice for him that he got to have a point in that game. So
yeah, and he got that assist like off the ice too, right?
He was like literally leaving the ice and he dished the puck over to Jamie and then stepped off the ice and then Jamie scored the goal. So he didn't even get to go through the high five line because he wasn't on the ice anymore. So it was maybe a little anticlimactic, but it is what it is. But Otter continued having a great game. And then Sam Montembeault for the Habs was having a phenomenal game as well. Because we had some really good looks, but they both just shut it down for the rest of the game. So we ended the game tied 1-1 after that. And then we went into OT. Nobody scored in OT. So fittingly, we went to a shootout.
Yep.
Which I think is honestly, I know people don't love shootouts, but I think when there's a goalie duel like that, there's something kind of poetic about ending it on a shootout.
Okay.
It really just takes it down to the goaltending.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Otter made saves on all three of the Canadian shooters, which were Line, Caulfield, and Suzuki, who were all very, very good.
Yep.
And for us on the shootout, we started with Robo. And, I have issues with Robo sometimes and his maybe commit or like heart or something, energy level. I don't know what it is. But when he's not like on the ice with a bunch of dudes trying to hit him, he's really good at hockey. He's a shootout specialist. He just walked into the goal and made it look so easy. He's so good at that.
It was effortless looking in terms of the shot. Like it was nonchalant is how I would describe that goal.
He looks like he was barely trying.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so smooth and so casual. And that's all we needed. So we managed to win. It was really an exciting game, though. Like I said, even though it was low scoring, there was a lot of energy, a lot of back and forth. It was kind of a nail biter.
Yeah, I thought Montreal looked really good, and I didn't feel like Dallas had anything clinched ever. Like they just felt a little bit more fluid, a little bit more physical, and a little hungrier, maybe. I don't know, but
I think Dallas looked really good, but I think our lack of physicality was super evident. Mm-hmm. I complained many times last night that this would have been the perfect game for Leon Bichel to be at because we needed another big body who craves violence.
Yes.
Because, you're right. At one point, during the second intermission, they brought up that the Stars had 2 hits and the Habs had 23 hits.
Yeah.
That's not cool, guys. Like,
no.
I know we're just little guys, and I know Pete DeBoer wants to like shoot pucks and not go to the box or whatever, but hockey is still a physical sport. You have to be able to lay body. Like, it's just part of it.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, you just have to. And, we've got Jamie. Jamie's very old now. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any hips anymore.
No.
We have Matt Dumba. I think
you're on the Dumba train, though. Don't try and talk bad about him.
Listen, when Dumba does well, I will say that he has done well. I still would like him to go somewhere else and do whatever he does.
Yeah, don't you want to trade him for somebody?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking maybe swap him and Ristolainen on the Flyers.
Yeah.
Which might also be a terrible idea. I don't know.
I don't know. That might smother Ristolainen's like thriving.
True. I don't know. I feel like Risto might do better in a system where like there's like more regimentation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? It's not going to happen regardless, but
no.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway.
Yeah, it was a good game. I enjoyed watching it. I think I watched most of that game. So.
You did. Yeah, I think you wandered away for a while in the second period, which I don't blame you. The second period, the Stars were not doing great.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, overall, good looking Stars. The people that needed to do stuff were doing stuff, which I think was been one of my complaints. Like, it's a bunch of no-name people out there doing all the work, and it's like, where's the people I know their names? Like, where's the Robos? Where's the Hints? Where's the work? Aren't these guys playing too? Is it all fourth line? Like, that's been my vibe.
Yeah, although the fourth line was still really great. Third and fourth line still out there, having lots of puck possession, creating opportunities, and setting it up. So when those first two lines came out, they were well positioned. Yeah. So the depth does help, but yeah, I do feel like we're in a better place. The mood certainly seems to be better coming out of the room. We don't feel as defeated. So I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, let's say, going forward. I'm excited. I hope that we continue to do well.
Yeah, and you were saying really like up until like the last couple of weeks, they were pretty much in the same spot they were last year, right?
Yeah, very, very similar, honestly. You know, I think part of the issue with the Stars is we've had these really high expectations for them because, you know, we went so far last year. We looked so great, especially after the trade deadline when we got Tanev. We looked kind of unstoppable. And then we got to the playoffs. We just kind of ran out of steam. But we were like, well, once they rest up, they'll look great. But then we've just been kind of up and down, up and down, up and down. But last season, we started out really bad.
Right.
And we kind of clawed our way back. But really, like once we hit the midpoint of the season here, we had pretty much the same win-loss record as we did last year.
Yeah.
So we're really pretty much on par where we were last year.
See, nothing to worry about.
I mean, I still don't feel like necessarily like we're starting to coalesce as well as we were at this point last year. But that is also based completely on a vague impression that I have in my mind and nothing that is concrete or, you know, measurable. So
yeah. And I mean, you've got Marchment and Sagan that are Mark Stoned right now. So
they are not Mark Stoned. Take that back. They are legitimately, I mean, he's probably legitimately injured, but still, it's not the same thing.
But yeah, it gives everyone else a chance to work things out. When and if they come back, then, you know, it'll be great. I don't know.
Oh, that does remind me. We had a funny interview with Jamie Benn this week where
James Benn, yes,
the elder statesman, James Benn. No, with Jamie Benn earlier this week where they were asking him what it's like to play on a line with Duchesne because it's him and Wyatt on a line with Duchesne now and how, you know, they're kind of clicking and what's that like? And he's like, oh, you know, Duchesne's very communicative. And Josh and Razor are like, oh, we bet you love that. And then they were all laughing because Jamie is like the most taciturn person on the face of the earth.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think Duchesne is a chatty Cathy, maybe.
He very much is. And he admits this. I mean, last year he said, you know, when they were asking sort of why he has such great chemistry with Marchment and Sagan, he's like, oh, I just talk all the time. And so they always know where I am and I always know where they are because we're always talking. And I'm sure I annoy the crap out of them, but they're putting up with it and it's okay. And that's just how he is. He just is a very chatty dude and is also apparently getting his kid into Nickelback.
Oh, boy. So. I'm not making good choices. Yeah, I would imagine him being the kid at the sleepover where everyone's like, can you shut up? We're trying to go to sleep now.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% those vibes.
Yeah, yeah. And he's over there just talking about like weird philosophical things.
So he's you.
Well, you know, he's just rambling. No, I don't think he's talking about my kind of philosophical things.
Probably very different.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, happy about the Stars.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah. I was happy to see Wyatt get a goal.
Yes. Yeah. Wyatt's been scoring again. He's on a several game point streak now.
Yep. I was happy to see Stankoven get... Oh, no.
Why would you say that?
Man, what's up with that kid, though?
Stankoven's cursed.
Yeah.
We've decided that. he is trying so hard. He has, what did they say last night? Like over 100 shots on goal over the last, I don't know, couple of months,
Right.
and has not made one connect. Like in however long it's been since his last, game that he scored, which was like 23 games ago or something.
It was up in the
It's been
20s.
a long time. So he's trying so hard. His efforts are looking good. It's not anything he's doing wrong. He is just snake bitten. Like even there was an empty net goal that he got picked off. It was just he cannot buy a goal to save his life. I'm side-eyeing the Calgary fans because they put that curse on Jake a few years ago, and I'm wondering if somehow they've resurrected their cursing abilities that are.
They're just out there randomly cursing Stankoven.
You never can tell with Calgary fans. They're unpredictable. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the Flyers.
Hell yeah.
So we kind of talked about them already against the Stars.
Yep.
They played a couple games before the Stars. They played the Maple Leafs twice in a row. They lost both games 3-2. Not much to talk about.
Nope.
Let's talk about last night's game because that's really the game we all care about.
Yeah. Last night's game, I would expect will be the talk of the town this week, but I don't know.
Oh, it's going to be the talk of the town. It is the talk of the town.
Yeah.
It's a lot of clips have already made the NHL shorts. I was checking those out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's big time. So we mentioned this a week or so ago. There have been issues between the Ducks and the Flyers because Cutter Gauthier, who was a Flyers prospect, did not want to play with the Flyers and was kind of a dillweed about how he went about getting away from them.
Yep.
And they were forced to trade him to Anaheim. They traded him and got Jamie Drysdale back in return.
Which we love.
We love Jamie Drysdale.
Yep.
And the whole city of Philly has decided to love Jamie Drysdale as well because he was just like, cool, I'll play here. That's cool. And they're like, yay.
Yeah, no.
That's all you have to do is just show up in Philly and be like, sure, I like it here. That's cool.
I remember his first press conference. He was well-spoken, humble, really nice, and I was sold right from the first. I was like,
kid.
I was like, who's this guy? I like him.
Yeah, no, he's great. Everybody loves him. The only people who say anything bad about him are they're like, he should be better at defense.
Yeah.
They just forget that he's still very young and he's not played a lot of games.
Yeah.
Considering how long he's technically been in the NHL because of injury.
Yeah. Get that Drysdale smack talk right out of here.
Absolutely. We do not tolerate Jamie Drysdale slander on this podcast.
That is nonsense.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So the Flyers played the Ducks in Anaheim a week or so ago.
Sure.
Last night, the Ducks came to Philly.
For the first time.
For the first time since all of this went down last year. So it's Cutter Gauthier's first time in Philly.
Yep.
And the Philly fans were out for blood. I mean,
everyone got the memo.
Everyone got the memo.
Yep.
So, they hired a uniform cop to stand in front of like the section where the Ducks go in for warm-ups. Like they were taking it seriously because Philly fans are sort of notorious, not just like Flyers fans, but just Philadelphia sports fans in general they're a passionate bunch, let's say.
Yeah. And I think Jim and Boosh said there's some kind of football thing going on this weekend. Or
yes.
They're already fired up for football. And then you bring the Ducks there and they're like even more fired up.
Absolutely. So it's crazy. So for the environment of the game, I don't know if I've ever heard the crowd that into it. Definitely not since I've started watching the Flyers.
Everyone seemed to say it was the same vibe as a playoff game.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yep.
So as soon as puck dropped, the Flyers fans started chanting, "We want Cutter."
Yeah.
They wanted him on the ice. And then once he got on the ice, they all started booing. And then it started chanting, "Fuck you, Cutter." And then every time he hit the ice for the rest of the game, you could tell because the boos were so loud.
Yep. It was like the camera was not anywhere near the bench and you'd hear the boos. You'd be like, oh, they did it. They
must be on the ice.
They did a change and Cutter's out now.
JJ and Boosh were like, oh, I guess he's on the ice again.
Yeah.
Because you could just hear it. They were like, oh, the crowd was paying attention to the line changes tonight.
Yeah, I think they said they don't have to pay attention to the changes because the crowd's got it for them. Like
absolutely. No, the crowd was, furious. Like the Philly community, it's like nothing else I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They took it personally. They took it very personally. They're like, oh, you don't want to play here. You don't want to play in Philly. You don't like Philly. You're dead to us.
And dead to us.
Yeah. If you come back here, we will remind you how dead to us you are.
I just wanted to point out, too, that we watched this after watching the Stars.
We did, because we were kind of looking for updates because they came on at exactly the same time.
They were
even at intermission,
yeah,
intermissions were lined up.
They were synced.
We kind of pop over and like watch the highlights, but we were just like, no, we have to watch this whole game. We have to see. So we switched over right after the Stars game and watched this in its entirety.
Yeah,
because it was a historical moment, and we felt like we needed to.
Yeah. Yeah, we knew it was going to be 6-0, but we needed to just understand how they got there.
Yes, and it was worth it. It was absolutely worth staying up late and doing.
It was a fun game to watch. They looked great. Anyway.
They looked so good. Everybody was just vibing.
Yeah.
I mean, the crowd, the players, the broadcast team.
Yeah.
Like the broadcast team was totally buying into it. Scott Hartnell wanted to get out on the ice and play so bad.
He did.
Because he was really from that time where it was like a real mix-it-up time in hockey. Ashlyn Sullivan said, well, at certain points they were chanting Jamie's better, too. And Ashlyn Sullivan said you could almost hear that from outside.
Yep.
And she did a few intermission interviews with the players and was basically immediately like, so how are you liking all the crowd's reaction to Cutter Gauthier? Like, she was not shying away from anything.
That's the story everybody wanted to run with.
Every single person. The only person who didn't was Torts, but we can get into that later, I think.
Yes.
So, you know, I would feel a little bad for the guy, but he gave this really bullshit interview to The Athletic like 2 days before the game, talking about how nobody knows the real story and what really happened, but he's not going to get into it.
Right.
And it's like, you can complain about how you're misunderstood and clear it up, or you can say nothing. Like, you can't complain about how you're misunderstood, but then say, but even though I'm very misunderstood, I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't think that we should talk about it.
Yeah, it's like a rap beef where the lyric is, you know, oh, I've got a lot more I could say about you. You're lucky I'm not saying it. Like, come on, just say it. It's
very much that. It just makes me think that whatever went on with him, he knows is really weak sauce. And he's just trying to make himself look the best as possible.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. And I get people being really tired of it. And, you know, I don't really think about him outside of when we're playing him. And I don't really think I'll be that excited for Philly to like be anti-Cutter Gauthier if it goes on every game forever. But for the first game back, absolutely, I loved the catharsis.
Yeah.
It was great to witness. So surprisingly, absolutely no one. The game was a feisty one. The girls were fighting.
Yeah.
Constantly. People were picking on Gauthier all game. There was a scrum at one point, and Gauthier tried to skate out of it, and someone just dragged him back in.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Sean Couturier knocked a stick out of his hand, and when he went to pick it up, Michkov kicked it out of the way. Travis Konechny was living his best little Ratman life last night. He and Gauthier got into it after the whistle at one point, and then, according to the lip readers on the internet, TK said, "I'll fight you. I promise you, I'll fucking fight you," all with his trademark smirk.
So I watched TK's post game, and he promises us that that's not what he said, because the reporter brought it up and it's like, did you, threaten to fight him? It's like, we can read lips. And he said, absolutely not. I can promise you that I did not offer to fight him.
Okay. Interesting.
So I don't know. You have to watch his face, I guess, and see if he's lying or not. But
I have not seen his post game, so I'll have to check that out.
It certainly did feel like he said something to that effect.
He definitely said fucking in there somewhere, because that's my favorite word. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
So I know what that looks like. But he was very smirky the whole time, and I love him. But where the Flyers really made it hurt was on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Flyers demolished the Ducks 6-0.
Leveled them.
Absolutely. Urson played an amazing game.
He did.
I mean, I did know going in that they were going to win 6-0, but I still never felt nervous around Urson. He just looked so dialed in. It was great.
He was snappy.
He was snappy and not like frantic or anything.
Right.
And, he had some good defensive support too. The offense was absolutely on fire. We had goals from Ryan Poehling, Owen Tippett, and Morgan Frost. Garnet Hathaway scored one while he was falling and then did this hilarious backward somersault on the ice, which the NHL posted in the shorts.
Yeah.
It was like, you don't see Sullies like this too often. It was just super awkward and hilarious.
Yep.
Michkov scored a goal and was feeling himself, celebrating very hard, just beaming.
Yeah.
But the most important goal of the night for me and probably all of Philly was Jamie Drysdale snapped a 26-game goal drought with a power play goal that had the crowd chanting Jamie's better for the remaining 2 minutes of the period.
Yeah. That was when they realized that they could chant Jamie's better.
Yes. And it was deafening. I mean, it was so loud you could barely hear the announcers.
Yep.
That also is an NHL short, along with the crowd booing Gotye as an NHL short.
I love that they'll put that up there.
Me too. I was surprised that the NHL would do that. Like, the Jamie's better, sure, but the booing Gotye, I was like, holy shit! Like, the NHL is like, hell yes! Like,
yeah, they just
drama.
They just want the clicks.
They just want the clicks. The Flyers posted a video post game from the locker room. And the Flyers players have this sort of WWE style belt that they give to the fancy boy of the game. It's like the cowboy hat in Dallas or the big giant stupid baseball cap in Colorado. Mm-hmm. So Ryan Poehling had it, I think, from their last win on New Year's Eve. And he complimented TK's line and Urson on their great play and pointed out that Michkov, or Mike, as he called him, had a great celly.
He did have a great celly.
He did. It was so good.
It was like I can't remember that 90s golfer, Chichi Rodriguez used to like do the sword with his putter. It was kind of that thing. He like spun it around and did the sword sheath. It was cool.
Yeah, it was. And he was just beaming the whole time, which was great.
He was happy.
He was very happy. But then Poehling finished up his little speech by saying, but everyone knows Jamie's better, before handing him the belts. And then they all did that thing that they do where they do the awkward, like, too long clap where he's trying to like settle them down. And then they just keep clapping for a long time and then just sort of swarm him.
Yep.
And I just love the vibes in the Philly locker room. They are immaculate.
Yeah.
It's so good. They just have so much fun in there. And I think that that's important.
It seems to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get the sense that they have that much fun in the Stars locker room. Like, I think they get along fine. But
yeah.
I want that kind of energy. Like, give me that kind of like family.
Yeah. No.
I will fucking kill for you and die for you shit. Like,
and we'll also have fun while we're doing it.
And we'll also have fun. We'll also have a great time. Like, just all the mixing it up on the ice and the like looking out for each other and this and that. And, you know, I mean, JJ and Boosh were talking about, like, everybody, just the whole energy from everybody was so fantastic.
It was probably the most enjoyable hockey game I've seen this year.
Yeah, I would totally co-sign that.
Like, not even regardless of the Gauthier stuff. It was a well-played game and fun to watch because the Flyers did so well.
They did so well. They supported each other really well.
Yep.
It was interesting that almost everyone who scored a goal also had an assist.
Right.
TK did not get a goal on the board, but he did have 4 assists.
Which seems like a lot of assists for one game.
That's a lot of assists for one game. So TK, Urson, and Jamie Drysdale were the 3 stars of the game, which absolutely well earned.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just love too for Jamie Drysdale. When they did finally let him talk, he said that game was a little more important than some of the other games. And, you know, I think for him, he handled getting traded out of Anaheim with such grace and class, because I think it was a very big shock to him. Mm-hmm. And he had like 2 hours to pack his shit and move to Philly. So he handled it so well and so maturely and has been just working so hard in Philly and has really improved his defensive game a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, over the summer bulked up and put on like 20 pounds of muscle, which was a thing that, you know, he has sort of struggled with being a little smaller. He's working hard and he seems to really have bought into what Torts is doing. Mm-hmm. Torts sees his potential and is like, I will make him a good defenseman. And Drysdale is like, sure, let's do it. And I just think that's great. So I think that the Flyers absolutely 100% won this trade. And
yeah, totally. I mean, Gauthier.
I know every time I say Gauthier, I keep thinking of the singer.
Yeah, no, same, obviously.
Well, now he's just somebody that we used to know.
He is. Oh boy. Yeah, Drysdale's post-game interview I also saw. And one of the reporters asked, you know, like, kind of, how did it feel, you know, scoring against your old team? And he kind of had to look down and there was some grins and smirks on his face while he was figuring out the right thing to say. And then he came back and he did his, you know, hockey player, like, oh, yeah, no, it feels real good, blah, blah, blah. Just happy that we won the game, etc. But like you could see he was like, oh, yeah, no, it was a little extra good. So.
I love that. I'm definitely going to go watch those once we wrap up recording here.
Yeah.
And then you watched the Torts post game too, right? Because I saw like a little headline about it, but I didn't see the actual post game.
Torts doesn't give a shit about any of that nonsense, about the fans screaming, about the reporters writing about the Cutter situation. He doesn't care. Don't ask him about it.
That was Torts in the background.
That was Torts, also known as Sully. Yeah, no, he's not going to entertain any questions about it. And his basic thing was, all the players agreed that the fans being into it fueled them.
Yes.
That was pretty hands down the case. And Torts agreed that, the energy, I think, was part of the thing, but he didn't care because it wasn't the right kind of energy. He wants that energy for
the right reasons.
For them playing a game. And he's working towards that, it seemed like, kind of what he was saying. But yeah, do not ask him about, the fans booing and chanting, because that he does not care.
He's the only person in Philadelphia who doesn't care, but he doesn't care so hard he actually balances it out
right.
on a pendulum.
Yeah.
He's the only thing keeping Pennsylvania from sinking into the sea from being so excited about demolishing Cutter Gauthier.
Yeah. So yeah, he's he wants, he wants that energy from the crowd to be an organic thing that happens because they're that good and they're in a playoff, game or playoff contention. So anyway.
I think that's great too. I think that's important to remember. I think it is good to be like, yes, the crowd fueled the players. I would love for the crowd to always have that reaction, but the crowd has to have that reaction because we are playing well and not because we don't like some dude.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. I get it.
I know. And I do feel like, I don't know if Danny Briere was like, hey, Torts, they were booing him hard. I feel like Torts would be like, yeah, that was pretty awesome, right? But I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. But I like to imagine that he was like, yeah, that was kind of fun.
I do like to think maybe secretly, in bed at night, the light, he turns off his lamp and then he just smiles.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I don't know. That guy, he's his own person.
Yep, exactly.
And I love him. So I don't know. I just love Philly. They're just so great. I know that they are not my primary team, but they're so freaking lovable. And that city, the pettiness, I really vibe with that at a deeply personal level.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we don't really have time for a game today, but we did learn a new vocabulary word last night. So I think we should talk about that.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about how the Dallas Stars have one of the best announcing teams in sports.
Agreed.
We have Josh Bogorad and then Daryl Rayo, who goes by Razor. And Daryl Ray, aka Razor, has these really bizarre words that he says that don't even sound like real words, but they are real words.
They turns out they're real words.
It turns out they're real words. I'm a professional writer. That's what I do for a living. And he comes up with the words that I've never heard of. And that's really impressive because I'm annoying about words. I'm constantly using words that people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? But last night he described the atmosphere at the Bell Center as bombulating.
Bombulating. I think after he said that, I turned to you and I was like, what did he say?
I know. I had to look it up and I didn't even spell it right because I didn't know what it was.
Right.
Bombulating. It means to make a buzzing or humming sound. So, for example, you might describe a building as bombulating like a cicada. Cicada?
Cicada.
Cicada.
Yeah, cicada.
And see, I'm one of those people that reads words a lot and doesn't say them out loud, so I sound stupid when I say them wrong.
Wait,
which I do a lot.
The buildings, the people inside the building are bombulating, not the building itself.
Well, it's the energy of the building, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's buzzing. So I don't know. It was a great new word. He says all kinds of great things. He actually gave us the name of our podcast.
Yep.
Last year, a Buffalo player slipped on absolutely nothing during a game.
Absolutely nothing.
Flew up in the air, I think landed on the ice.
Yep.
And then they replayed it and Razor went, whoa, ice is slippery.
Yep.
And that is why we are called what we are called. So I am going to try and work in a game with some of Razor's vocab words, or maybe even just periodically drop in some fun Razor's vocab words so we can all be enriched by that man's
Mastodonic vocab.
Mastodonic vocabulary. Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say. And that's another razor word for you.
Mastodonic. Yeah. He's a guy.
He's a guy. And that's the end of regulation for this week's episode of Ice is Slippery. You can find us on Tumblr, Instagram, and now TikTok at Ice is Slippery Pod, where I occasionally post content whenever I happen to get around to it. You can also find us on Twitter at Slippery Ice Pod. If, like Fred, you avoid social media, you can email us at iceisslipperypod@gmail.com, where we'd love to hear your spicy takes or get suggestions for future games. Until next week, stay out of the penalty box.